What does one say to an ancient Nephilim ghost?
I suppose you start with...
Get out of here, you nosy little pervert, or I'm gonna slap you silly!
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another video. The most wonderful time of the year.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
No, not Christmas, it's PTR because we get to make guides. This is the Demon Hunter, this is Gears of Dreadland's. Shocker, I know you're all going to be absolutely shocked when I tell you that the Gears of Dreadlands is really strong with the Soul Shards. Soul Shards are returning from Season 25, Season 30 it's got these, it's got the Alter of Rites, albeit the Alter is nerfed from Season 28, but this combination of the Alter and the Shards means that we can do GR120 in under 3 minutes. Very strong build, quite easy to put together, lots of different options for weapons and combinations for how things run. But before we do jump in, as always guys, a thumbs up brightens my day. Righty ho, Gears of Dreadlands, very easy. As always with Diablo 3, we've got a 6-piece set, there's a load of writing, we're just going to boil it down very simply. You need to left click a few times to get your momentum stacks up, and then you deal a bunch more damage as you spin around with strafe, and you get damage reduction, and you get move speed. The stacks decay, they decay a lot slower than they used to, because there's now a timer before they start decaying, which is great. And what that means is that you don't have to ruin your hand left clicking, but every few seconds, just left click, tops your stacks up, and then as you strafe around, you spray Hungering Arrow. It will guaranteed pierce because of the Series Satchel in the cube, and that will give you another 600% damage. We're going to take 5 pieces of the Gears of Dreadland set. Probably easiest to put the depth diggers on the character to begin with, because the Hunter's Wrath belt, which gives you 30% increased attack speed and 200% increased damage, goes in the cube for the max modifier. This and the Series Satchel, if you can get them both in the cube on an early character, it's very powerful. These modifiers are big, so yeah, try and do that if you can. Depth diggers rolls on a much smaller range, and I think it's additive to the skill damage rather than multiplicative. Again, another shocker, we're going for Guardians. Guardians is just so powerful in the game at the moment. We've got the doubling of our dexterity, which adds tons of damage, and because we get double dex, strength, int and vitality, we get lots of toughness from this as well. Ancient pieces, of course, are very preferable because the higher native main stat or vitality roll on them, the more that Guardian set is working for us. We also, of course, get some native damage reduction from this set as well. And that's pretty much it for modifiers. So all we've got to do is find a satchel, all we've got to do is find a Hunter's Wrath. Now unfortunately the Gears of Dreadlands isn't the starting set for the Demon Hunter, that is the Marauder. I haven't playtested that, it did catch a big nerf, but I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine to start off with and put this Gears of Dreadlands together. Now another really essential piece is going to be the Dawn, because this will give us a 65% cooldown reduction on Vengeance. Normally you want 37.5% cooldown to keep Vengeance up. What you're going to find is that because of the Soul Shards, you might need a little bit more. I've not got what I need. I think I've got a slightly better weapon here. I think in the footage, actually whilst I think on, I haven't saved that build since doing the clear. I have got a bit more cooldown. Where are we? 34. So really perfect cooldown on gloves on the 2 weapons. Again, I haven't been bothered to set the follow-up. You can grab a bit more cooldown from the follower, and that probably would get me there or thereabouts. But the Soul Shards do add a little bit of cooldown. But I suppose let's finish the just base build before we get to those. I like rocking the Fortress Ballista because the shield will keep up our squirts. Squirts is double damage so long as you don't take incoming damage. Pick a few damage reduction type things like Fan of Knives as an example to boost up your armor. That'll keep your shield up for a lot of the time. Try and look for a Fortress Ballista with a 3% roll, because a 26% shield is not as good as a 30% shield. Focus and Restraint, 50% modifier when we hit with Hungering Arrow, another 50% modifier when we hit with Strafe, so of course no brainer. Run Convention of Elements, Stone of Jordan, anything damage wise you can get your hands on before you get this fully set up and decked out. 3 wonderful gems to damage. We've got the Bane of the Trapped, we're always getting the extra damage from this. Taeguk gives us armor, but also importantly damage as well. And then Simplicity Strength gives us damage and an awful lot of recovery as well, which is pretty good. Now, you don't have to run it this way with the dual wielding. You can certainly take Dawn in the cube and run something like a Yang's and a Ninth Series Satchel. The Satchel's a bit of a pig to roll though, because it's on a massive 450 to 600% modifier. You really want to get the right stats on it, which would be like Hungering Arrow damage, the max attack speed, dexterity, maybe elite damage if you can get it on there, I think. So it's a hard item to roll, so that's why it's near enough always in the cube for me. It's much easier, I think, to get an okay Fortress Ballista, make yourself a Primal Dawn with the recipe in the cube, and then kind of build it like that. I have seen people do Valor's Bequest with the Series Satchel. I mean, theoretically, you could do the Fortress Ballista with the Series Satchel. The Valors will offer extra pierces on strafe. It is a bit more damage, I think, is the way mechanics work on it. But as I say, I quite like the shield. I think it's quite nice and consistent, just to keep the squirts up for as long as possible. So let's get on to the Soul Shards, which is the theme for Season 30. Essence of Anguish is what we want in our weapon. The level 1 of this basically says that when you deal poison damage to an enemy, you increase your cooldown reduction and move speed by 2.5%, whilst damage received is increased by 5% for 10 seconds, max 10 stacks. The Demon Hunter doesn't do poison damage, but if you roll poison damage on your Fortress Ballista, like in this example here, you will do. Now, whilst you get extra cooldown reduction and move speed, I'm not sure that's really worth the trade-off of 50% increased incoming damage. Now, I did play with that for a while with this Ballista here. Move speed is nice, cooldown reduction is nice, and it means that you don't have to worry about the gearing as you're opening this build out, so your base level Essence of Anguish will help with cooldown, but you are taking more damage, and the later and higher up you get, taking 50% extra damage just means less squirts. It means less of your shield is active, so I decided to switch it and I ditched, so I don't actually do any poison damage, so that base effect is completely nullified. When you find some Hellforge Embers, you can upgrade your Essence of Anguish to level 1. That will then give you the effect of every base gem, so like critical hit damage here from the Emerald, you get life per hit, you get increased elite damage, thorns damage, all those type of things. When you open this up to level 2, you get a random roll. It can be like plus damage, it can be plus elemental damage, it can be plus elite damage. I'll just see what else we've got in the box to see by way of example. Attack speed you can get, I think, extra crit chance. You can get poison damage, so you've got to keep trying on these things until you get one with something you like. 11% damage is not a great roll, but it's still okay. Then when you open up for the third time and you get it to level 3, this is when you get the ultimate ability. For speed farming, this one is lovely. When you kill an enemy, you deal damage done by the death blow on all enemies within 25 yards. So as you kill something, it then explodes in a 25-yard radius for that level of damage to everything. It doesn't work with area damage, as in like you can't get area damage to activate this, I don't think. Pets can't activate it, follower can't activate it. But what it does do is it gives you this kind of like wrecking ball momentum, and because you kill lots of enemies individually, because Strafe is firing out individual hungering arrows, you do find that this like damage explosion thing pops off quite a lot, and it adds quite a lot to your clear speed and your damage. Now, another option for the Essence of Anguish final form is this one that gives move speed and cooldown reduction, increasing up to 15 times when you deal poison damage. Again, you'd have to roll poison damage on. I don't see that as being particularly attractive. The extra damage from what I've got makes more sense. I haven't been able to unlock a final form of the third type of Essence of Anguish, which would basically give us a 50% damage increase when we hit with poison. So again, you'd have to roll poison on your weapon. I think that might well be slightly better than the one that I've got, but I haven't tested it, so I can't really say. But either of those two I think will do, and that's kind of nice because a lot of the Soul Shards, there's only one unique power that you want, whereas here with the Essence of Anguish, I think you've got two that are kind of acceptable. In terms of the Helm, the Sliver of Terror is pretty much going to be used on most builds, I think. So the base effect of this increases our cooldowns by 25%. That's what makes the Vengeance uptime a little rough, because instead of it being 37.5, we need way more cooldown than that. So that is a bit of a negative. But when skills are on cooldown, we get damage reduction and we get increased damage, so that's kind of fine. Now, the level 1 upgrade opens this out as if you had any gem in your Helm, so we're talking green for gold find, we're talking the diamond for cooldown, the topaz for resource cost reduction, the emerald, the amethyst for life, etc., the XP from the ruby. Then when you get up to the next one, this is where you get your kind of like stat increase. So this is the one from the monk video. We get reduced damage from ranged attacks. You can get reduced melee damage. They're the best two, probably. Damage reduction is going to be much more helpful as the game scales upwards towards this GR 120, 125 range. But you could get dexterity, which would be more damage. You could get something crap like armor. You can get vitality. You can get like a bunch of stats on there. So again, you just have to kind of keep going with your upgrades until you get something that you like. The final form, the one that you want, is attack speed and crit chance are increased by 5% for each skill on cooldown. So you want to try and pick things with cooldown. I think I swapped this in the footage to companion for that reason and for the extra damage. But the more skills you've got on cooldown, obviously the more this is working harder for you. Right, what else? I think we've done the gems, done the gear. So let's have a look at the skills. So we've got Hungering Arrow, Devouring Arrow, Cold Rune, does me loads of damage, which is great. Strafe, Drifting Shadow, we move at normal speed while strafing, which is great. Fan of Knives, this is here simply just to try and keep up the squirts. That's kind of the whole theory behind this build. Squirts is up, damage is up, and we're not reliant completely on shield pylons. Companion, Wolf Companion, pop this for extra damage. Of course, we're just spamming it because we want the extra damage for it being on cooldown. Smokescreen, Displacement. This or Special Recipe are the two ways to go. Displacement gives 100% move speed, which is very nice. Special Recipe gives really reduced discipline cost, which is really nice. I play with both, so choose whichever one works for you. Vengeance gives us more damage. Dark Heart Rune gives us 50% damage reduction. And then passives wise, we've got Thrill of the Hunt and Call of the Week, so that we're getting this extra 20% damage. So the Thrill activates the slow, and then the Call of the Week comes in for more damage. Ambush, more damage against 75% health. And then Tactical Advantage for move speed, if you're wanting to go fast, you want a little bit more damage. Archery for the 5% crit chance. If you're rocking the bow, this obviously goes up to 8% damage. I think it's probably a bit more useful. Numbing Traps is a consideration. When you hit with your bladed armor, then you will get damage reduction on everything. That would give more squirts uptime. But generally with these speed builds, we're trying to pump as much damage in as we can. As we say, haven't upgraded the follower at all, haven't bothered gearing that out. Gem levels are like 126, all three are 126. So again, levels to go here. Missing an augment on the pants. We could do with a bit more of toughness stats on the chest, which would keep our squirts up more. Again, it's the same squirts from the monk. You want cold and double crit. You want it ancient, you want it augmented. Augment I haven't put on the ballista. You probably want a higher damage roll than this. It's like missing 100 damage off the top for a primal one. You probably want a better roll on a shield, which will give you more squirts up time. We're missing a damage roll on the ring. We've got the double crit, which is great. We've got main stats instead of damage. So, we don't have double crit on the restraint. There's quite a few things I think here that could be improved upon. The gloves are non-ancient. Again, augment could go here. So there's room to grow, I think, in this. So you're looking at 120, 125, I think, for the Gears of Dreadland Demon Hunter. Now, if we have a little look, somebody has crushed a 130 in 2 minutes. That's with 2k Paragon. And as I said, they are using the Valor's Bequest. Now, interestingly, they've gone for the Remnant of Pain. Now, the final form of this gives 20% increased cold damage to frozen targets. I don't think that's worth it, personally. 20% extra damage to me doesn't seem like a particularly great thing. This has also got arcane on it rather than, cold damage as an example, or elite damage. So this could be improved upon. But at some point we swap over to the Ore Guilds. Obviously this gear is pretty tasty because the dudes obviously played a lot of PTR, but it does show that you can like jack this build up to 125, 130 for speeds, you know, which is obviously nice. So a really good solid option. I think probably it's a little better than the Monk. It's pretty close. I'd say this build is also better at clearing slightly lower, but like very faster because of the way the Gears of Dreadlands fires out the Hungering Arrows. You generally are wiping the screen as you move through the map, whereas the Monk you've got to be a bit more deliberate and find your target. So it's boring. I know it's boring because every season I make a video saying Gears of Dreadlands is amazing, you should play it. But look, reality is spin to win, AoE clear, you know, screen wipe. It is just really, really useful. That's been the video, guys. I've been the Filthy Casual. I'll see you again real soon. Take it easy. Peace.